Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight, we're going to continue our conversation by talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard, the season 2, the reunion. So, let me just start off by saying, as soon as this reunion started, I knew it was a little janky. They are in the Watch What Happens Live clubhouse. They don't get their own set. They got these little metal chairs that Andy brought out for them, and it's giving a little raggedy. Like I wish he could have even gotten them like two love seats or a couple of love seats or something, or like a couch or something. But those chairs were just not it. Like the set was just, I feel like he didn't want to waste a dime on this reunion. Like he was like, I'm not spending one red cent over what I would have spent for this reunion. And I kind of think it's not fair. I feel like this season, maybe not as watched, was pretty good, you know? So I feel bad for them for that. He introduces everybody, says hi to everybody, whatever. And what's funny is I don't even know how the conversation comes up, but they talk about how, oh, he asked Jordan what's her go to song to turn up. And she says, Back That Ass Up by Juvenile. But then she says that Juvenile has her blocked on Instagram. Now, that seems like such a random blocking, but I also feel like it's probably something so silly like maybe he tried to talk to her or something somewhere, you know, and she wasn't feeling it unintentionally, right? Because maybe whatever. Because Jordan's kind of like mean, or she comes off a little mean, maybe even unintentionally, but like Juvenile was like, block, because it just doesn't make any sense. Um, Andy is shady to Amir immediately. Like, it's actually kind of funny because I think what happened is Andy really liked Amir. And maybe they were cool, I don't know. But I feel like Amir got this little girlfriend and probably got weird because I can already see how he treats his castmates because of this girl. So I feel like that was kind of maybe the same energy. And maybe Andy didn't like it because he was immediately shady. They immediately get into Alex, Summer, and Noel. That's like the first thing they discuss. Alex said he's communicated things to Summer that he was done. Like, I don't want to be with you. He was very open, upfront, and honest, is what he claims. And Summer claims that's BS. She says that he thinks that Alex said something about wanting to be a F boy and this and that. But I'm like, if he said he wanted to be a F boy, I think that's pretty clear that he's communicating to you that things are ending. So I don't know what Summer was trying to prove or get at, but it didn't come off the way I think she thought it would. Um, I also feel like Summer just seems really incorrect, really wrong in this whole Alex, Noel, her situation. Like, Summer seems to really be the problem. And because basically, Noelle is saying she didn't tell me that they was talking or anything. She just said they hung out. And it kind of makes sense because of how she met Noelle. She met Noelle because she was technically dating Noelle's roommate. So why would she tell the roommate of the man she's with that she's with someone else? So I kind of agree with Noelle. And I kind of think that Summer is like being shady about it, and trying to rewrite history a little bit. Um, but then her and Noelle go back and forth a little bit because Noelle doesn't like that she's lying. Noelle's like, no, you don't get to lie on me and try to make me out to be the bad person because, because you're lying. And the thing is, like, yes, ultimately at the end, Noelle did F up by still flirting with Alex or maybe like being a little forward with Alex. Um, once she did find out that Summer slept with him, but it's like by then they were already flirting. The show had already started. I felt like she was kind of like all systems a go. I still got to go forward with it. So I don't kind of like she apologized for it. So I do like that Noelle took that accountability, but at the same time, it's like, Summer, you didn't tell her. You were not upfront with that girl. And it was clear on the show that you were not upfront with that girl. Um, then Alex says, like, oh, well, I'm not an F boy because if I was an F boy, I would have done it with Noelle. And Noelle's like, like, leave me out of this. Like, whatever y'all got, leave me out of it. Then they address Alex and Summer falling out over that picture in this incident. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I still don't think it's a big deal that she took a picture of Alex and sent it to Jordan. I think that that's normal, semi normal female behavior. Us women sometimes, we like to key with our friend, and maybe it's not the best thing, but I think it's just bad because it got to him because Jordan sent it to Nick or mentioned something to Nick or whatever. But either way, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And the fact that that pissed off Alex so bad, that's part of the reason he's sus to me, because why would you be mad? Okay, she took the picture, but why would you be mad? One, she didn't post it on no social media. She sent it to her friend that you guys both know, who sent it to one of your best friends. I don't know. I'm not seeing why Alex is so mad about that. Um, then I think, in my opinion, Alex was already looking for a way out of their situation and he just found it. And see, I would have respected him more if he was just like, you and me aren't compatible. That picture had nothing to do with it. But trying to use that picture, I don't know. It's not good. So then they ask him about the comment he made on Watch What Happens Live about her hitting him up like a crazy person and like sending like hella voice notes and stuff. And Shanice interrupted and she's like, I'm just so glad I am no longer known as the only crazy person in this cast. And the funny thing is, at the end of the day, despite all of Summer's commentary, I think Summer really thought that her and Alex were going to be a thing. That's what I think. I genuinely believe she wanted, she hoped, she wished, whatever. Her and Alex were going to be a thing. And when he cut it off, she wasn't expecting that. She was not ready for that. She thought she was coming back to the house, the summer house, with her man, and it was going to be a key. And when that didn't happen, she was bitter about it. And instead of like admitting to being bitter, which I think would have been respectable. She's like, oh, I don't care. I don't like him. It doesn't matter. Blah, blah, blah. Like, girl, you like him. That's okay. Like, who cares? Who cares? Like, Alex, I might have funny feelings about him, but you let him be inside of you. And you made him come how many times? So you liked him, and that's okay. Like, but I feel like the fact that because she was rejected, she's trying to act like she didn't like him like that. And that to me is whack. Um, but yeah, she did come off crazy. And I'm sure she sent him more than one voice note because Summer seems to have a loose relationship with the truth. Then Andy starts coming for Amir again. And she talks about how, Natalie doesn't trust him. And Amir was like, oh, that's just me over exaggerating. Natalie isn't really like that. You said that in every scene in which you talked about her and she wasn't present. I don't know. It doesn't sound so much like a joke. Like, if you said it once, okay. Twice, okay. But every scene in which she was not present, you talked about her cutting your this off, pissing you off, beating you up, being so angry. It's like at some point, you're not joking anymore and you're telling exactly who she is. Very weird. Um, and then Andy talks about, Natalie talking about making what he makes in a year in a month, and is like, didn't that make you feel kind of weird or whatever? Or, the cast is like kind of like emasculating or whatever. He's like, oh, I'm secure and I like confident women and I this and I that. And I'm just like, and I love that the cast was honest because they were like, everybody knew it was BS. Like, what are you talking about? This girl was talking about you like a dog. Like, Why is that your girl? And that's kind of like, and I'm gonna say something a little controversial. I don't like to get controversial on here, but I'm gonna say something a little controversial. She can do that because she's not black. That's what I think. That's my personal opinion. I think the crazy Latina trope, he likes it, like a lot of people. And because if that was a young black lady saying those things to him, I don't think he would take it. Or maybe he would. I don't know. But it seems like he kind of likes that crazy Latina who can say and has a slick mouth, and she's able to get away with it because of that. Because I'm like, she talking about you like crazy. Like crazy, bro. And you're just taking it. But like I said, his cast definitely is looking at him like boo boo the fool because it makes no sense. Um, then Andy's like, well, do you guys think that Natalie is the right person for Amir? It was crickets in that bee. Crickets. Everybody's just looking at each other, looking down. And then Jasmine, trying to be nice, was like, well, I think they look cute together. And Shanice is like, yeah, yeah. Like, okay, you don't think they should be together, but the photo ops, it's working. Like, shade. Shade. That's actually worse. I actually would have preferred you to say nothing than to try to say that we look cute together in photos. Don't piss me off. Like, oh, but one thing I will say, and I don't know if it's just me reading too much into the situation, but I feel like the entire time, even when he was talking and they closed in on his face, Amir looked so dejected. And I mean, that might just be from dealing with a year and 6 months of Natalie constantly talking down on you, but he literally just looked so just exhausted. Like he was over it. Like, and I'm like, this is supposed to be the love of your life. Why you look so just, maybe he was over the show. Maybe he was tired. Maybe they had a long day, but he just looked through, spent. And yeah, I thought it was kind of weird. Um, then he's like, but everybody's going to have their opinion, about them not liking them. And he goes, and I don't care because the only people that matter are me and Natalie, which is true. Again, Amir is doing the right things. You got to defend your girl. If you're going to be with her, if you're going to stick beside her, you got to defend her. You can't let these opinions of other people decide how you treat your girlfriend or love your girlfriend. If you chose her and stand on that. So Amir, in my opinion, is doing the right thing. It just isn't a good look. Then Andy asks obviously if they're still together, and he's like, yes, we're closing on a house. And Andy's like, whose name is on the house? And he goes, yeah, well, the loan is on in my name, but her name is on the deed. Amir, you're a realtor, and you thought that was a good idea? She don't have no financial stake claim in the home, but you gonna put her name on the deed? However, this is also the girl that makes what you make in a year, in a month, but she didn't put no money up. I don't know. That math is not mathing. That's 1 + 1 = 3 right there. Cause I'm just like, how she makes so much money, but she don't put nothing down on the house? I don't know. I don't know. That don't make no sense to me. And then Andy is kind of like, everybody's laughing. And Andy's like, yeah, because what can go wrong? Like, for real, you're dumb, Amir. I'm so sorry. Like, that is just dumb. Again, you got to defend your girl and you got to do what you got to do, but that is dumb. Um, then Andy is like, well, do you have a ring? And she's like, yes. And he goes, and when does she think you should, would be a good time for you to propose? Everybody bust up again. And I'm just like, dang, Andy is going in on Amir. And I think it's kind of deserved because I feel like Amir kind of has been coasting by and no one's really getting in on him. So I do appreciate Andy for doing it since no one else would. Um, then Noelle asked him, like, why did you tell Natalie that all the girls in the house was on you? Everybody also starts cracking up and talking about that. And he was like, well, I was under the impression that Shanice wanted me because I guess she came into the hot tub naked or whatever. And Shanice was like, no, I was just single and wanted to, have sex. But I think Shanice is, I'm not saying people can't have fun. I'm not saying that people can't get naked, but I just think it's really funny that Nick touching people makes everybody uncomfortable, but Shanice stripping down naked every other episode is okay. And I understand that she's a woman, but it's like they gotta check her. Nick should have been like, I feel uncomfortable when you're naked. Put some clothes on. Because it's not fair. It's not fair that Nick can't make jokes and flirt a little bit, but Shanice can get buck ass naked every other episode and be shaking it in everybody's face. I get it. You're confident. You're the fun girl. You're this, you're that. But girl, put some clothes on. Sorry. um, then Andy switches gears to Summer and they replay pretty much her, season. And she starts crying. She talks about how tough things are and she couldn't be open with her closest friends. And so that's why she couldn't be open with Noelle because Noelle was, talking about like, girl, what is going on? Because you are tripping on me and I don't know what's going on. Um, and I'm Alex kind of holds her feet to the fire. Alex is basically like, so you're telling me that if you're going through stuff, you can't be nice to people? Which is true. Like, you're not the first person to go through stuff. You're not the only person to go through stuff, but you're being so nasty spirited while you're going through stuff. So it's like, why would people want to support you? And, basically she agrees. She knows, but she's like, but I don't know how to deal and da 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 whoop whoop, And I like her. I do like Summer. I do. But I just think that she's not that honest. I think she has a problem with telling the truth. But I like her. I just think she has a problem with telling the truth. Um Anyways, it turns out that she's still not really close with anyone because he asked about her relationship even with Preston and Jordan. And they even say that, like, they're still working on things. They're still trying to work through things. So it's sad that she went so far to ruin all the relationships she had with those people. And some of them were good friendships. Um, then they move on to Preston and they ask about him and Bria and like how they go back and forth and how he's always like, oh, I love her, I love her, I love her, but it's always seemed to be beef and he always talking about her. And basically Bria is like, yeah, he's always really shady to me. And Bria and Preston's like, what, Bria? When you were overseas and something happened, I was there for you. I got you an international attorney and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay. It almost seemed like we watched a season of y'all on the Vineyard. We did not watch Bria get arrested overseas or, because the thing is we're talking about what we saw. And what we saw was you always making little snide, shady comments to Bria. That's just what it was. I'm not saying you don't like her. It's not saying that y'all not cool, but you do make those little comments and talk about Bria in a way that is not very nice. I'm not saying Bria is perfect, but off camera, yeah, you might be the best of friends, but maybe when you get on camera, maybe you're doing it up for the cameras. Maybe you're doing a little too much for the cameras, right? Maybe you trying to make a character. I don't know, but it's like you can't be nice to someone when no cameras are there and everything is just you and them, but then when the cameras get rolling, you have a problem. The one comment he did make that I kind of resonated with was like, oh, I see her as a little sister. Because it's true that you can go back and forth with somebody a lot, especially when you see them as close as family. It makes it a little bit easier because you're always under the assumption that they'll take your apology and forgive you, So I kind of can see that on some level. But I think it's a little unfair to Bria in that situation. Um, yeah, I think it's a little unfair to her. Um, but I just wish Preston, I don't know, I feel like he sometimes gets into that little mean girl energy. And I don't know, I don't really like it. I feel like first season he didn't really do that, but now that he's close with Jordan and Summer, he's kind of like leaning into it because they're kind of mean girls. So then he's like also there being, a little mean girl. Um but yeah, then they asked Bria about Simon and about the love of her life in Tribeca. And she's like, oh, it's just normal to say that and have, marry your person, even if they're not the love of your life or your soulmate or whatever. And she kind of tries to play it off. I still don't agree with it. I mean, I kind of understand what she's saying, but I still don't agree that it's something that should be said out loud. Um, then Andy said, I heard a rumor that people think that Simon is with you for clout or whatever. Um, and it seems like everybody agrees with this except for Jasmine. And Jasmine's like, I don't think it's for clout. I think he just likes attention. And so he behaves like someone who likes attention all the time, And Bria tries to clear it up by saying he's just never been in a situation like this. So when he's here in this situation, he gets excited. And Jasmine was better because what Bria said sounded like he's never done this, so he doing it for clout. Like that's basically what she said, but she was just way more long-winded than I was. Um, then they move on to Jasmine, and Andy's pretty much asking her, like, who has been the least supportive and, during your pregnancy and, this new transition. And she talks about and calls out immediately Jordan. She's like, I was disappointed with her joke about, how many kids Silas has had or whatever, the joke she made in confessional. Now, Jordan tries to clear it up by saying, like, oh, that's how I joke and she should know and this and that and whoop whoop. And here's the thing, Jasmine should know how you joke. So if she didn't take it as a joke, probably not how you usually joke. You were trying to be shady, and when you got called out on it, you want to change it to a joke. And I hate when people do that. People try to make intentionally shady comments, and I've done it too, so I'm not trying to sit here and act like I'm above it, but you make intentionally shady comments, and then when someone is like, oh, well, that was shady, oh, well, I was just joking, ha ha ha. Like, no, you weren't joking, but because you're getting called out, now it's this big joke. No, it's not a joke. um But yeah, then Andy asked, like, who missed Silas this season on the show? I was shocked because people raised their hand. I think Bria raised her hand, Alex raised his hand, Amir raised his hand. So I was actually shocked by how many people clearly still F with Silas. Like, they had no problem with him. I'm not saying everybody was cool, but there was way more people than zero because I thought it was going to be zero. And there was way more than zero people that raised their hand that said they missed Silas. I was like, wow, that's shocking. Um, and so from there, Andy notices that Preston didn't raise his hand, who is his line brother and has known him the longest. So he asked, he said, what happened? And Preston's like, oh, well, me and Silas have some issues and we haven't really talked it out yet. And then he asked the women, Andy asked the women, like, what is your issue with Jasmine ultimately? And these women, to me, they're dumb because none of them could answer explicitly what their issue was. Jordan starts talking about season one. Baby, that was 2 years ago. And Jasmine says she's apologized. They've talked about it, whatever. And you're still talking about that? Like, this is somebody that you called your sister cousin and whatever, and y'all was super close. But this person telling you to get a boyfriend or whatever is the reason why you're still mad at them 2 years later. No, girl, you're lying. It's something else. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I can't say what it is, but I know it's not what she was saying. Um, Shanice and Jordan didn't want her to go on the Jamaica trip. Summer said that they had beef. They squashed it. So then Summer then went to the group and asked, like, hey, can Jasmine come to Jamaica? And Jordan and Shanice was the first person to say no. And then Jordan. to be honest, I think Shanice said no because I think Shanice is a hater. 100%. I genuinely believe Shanice wants what Jasmine has. She not running around stripping, being naked and acting crazy because that's what she wants to do for real. I think she wants a man. She wants to be settled down. She wants to be married, and she can't get it. She's a beautiful girl, and maybe she can get it, but she's not getting it with maybe the person that she wants to get it with. Let me be more specific, because it's not that she can't, because I definitely think that Shanice can get a man. She's gorgeous. But I think she's not getting it from the people that she wants in the way that she wants. And so maybe she looks at Jasmine and doesn't like what she sees. And then Jordan didn't want her to go because despite whatever, Jordan is being a big hater. I don't know why. Maybe Jordan is very used to being center of attention in that friendship. And because of this show, she's not really center of attention anymore. I think that bothers her. Um, like I said, it wasn't clear. So then Andy goes further and says, Preston, what's your issue with Jasmine? And Jasmine's like, please tell me. She's like, you're super close with these people that I introduced you to. You're only friends with them because of me. And Preston's like, oh, let's not be shady. You're trying to be shady, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, even if she is, it's true. So what's up? Like, shady or not, what she said is a fact. You only know these women because of her. What's up? Why are you now treating her the way you are? And he goes to say, like, oh, relationships don't have to stay the same. And, you know, whatever, whatever. But honestly, I think he's just being influenced by Jordan. I don't think Preston gave the impression that he was very, and even Jasmine says it, he was very like in the middle. He was not the person to take sides. He was not the person. He was just going to speak the truth and be honest. And I don't know what happened with his friendship with Jordan. I feel like, again, opinion that Jordan is like the cool girl he's always wanted to be friends with. And so now that he is friends with Jordan and Summer and all these cool girls, it's like whatever they want is what it is. You know, they don't like Jasmine. We don't like Jasmine. That's what it is. It's just being a little mean girl, following suit, because he hasn't been able to articulate. And I don't think any of them really have been able to articulate. I know they talked about, I don't know if it was on Twitter or wherever I saw that they were talking about Jasmine buying followers and this and that. And I'm like, who cares? Like, get to the real issue. Buying followers is not the issue. What is the real issue? Because y'all being weird and we don't know why. Um, then he's like, they're kind of going back and forth. And he's like, let's not reinvent history. And she's like, let's not. Let history reflect what it is. And I'm like, get him again, Jasmine. Get him again. Because sometimes I feel like there's this thing that people do, like, oh, if I'm the first one to kind of say something, then I'm right. And that's not just with Preston in this situation, because I think a lot of them do it. But I'm glad that Jasmine did not take her foot off his neck and she got him again, because he thinks like, oh, I have the fans on my side. I'm a fan favorite, this and that. And again, I like Preston. So I think he thinks that he doesn't have to have any accountability. And that's what I don't agree with. I can like you, but you still have to be held accountable for the things you do and you say. You don't just get to do whatever just because the fans like you. No, you don't get to be a nasty, mean girl because the fans like you. Because as we've already seen on Twitter, the fans turn, and they are starting to turn on Preston, and quickly. I have seen so many tweets talking about they don't like his behavior, his energy, and he is not seeing it for what it is. He changed, his behavior changed, how he is moving changed. And he thinks like it comes off as if he's like, oh, I was the fan favorite, so I could just do whatever. So it's kind of pissing people off. I hope he goes back to what we saw season one, and he kind of goes back to that role in which he's in the middle, really, and not picking a side. And then it's like, cool. I'm praying that Noelle doesn't like fan favorite and start acting crazy, because girl, we like you. We like you. Don't do too much. Um, but yeah, then um, Andy moves back to asking Jasmine about Jordan and whatever. And she kind of calls it out for what they need. Like, I need to continue holding you accountable when you're wrong. And, you need to do the same for me. And we need to be open and honest because it's like calling Jasmine inauthentic for growing is kind of childish on Jordan's part. Oh, I think she's really inauthentic. The girl got married and had a baby within like 2 years. She can't be at the club with you. Like, she cannot do the same things that she was doing before because she has a lot more things to be worried about. And it's not hanging out with you or your problems or whatever the case may be. So I just think that Jordan needs to grow up a little bit. That's what I think. Um, then they moved to Nick and Jordan, and talking about, Nick being touchy with them. And, Jordan's been pretty consistent and Summer has been consistent. It's not about Nick being touchy. They're friends with him, so they don't actually mind him touching them. It was just more so about, you have a girlfriend and we don't know her like that. And because we don't know her like that, we don't want to put ourselves in a position where she's uncomfortable with us and we're just your friends, which I think is valid. Um, then they go back and forth a little bit with Bria. Nick does, because she stands on what she said. She said, I think if Nick had the opportunity with one of the girls, if they said, hey, Nick, that he would take it. And Nick is like, oh, you don't know me, whatever. But I'm with Bria a little bit. A little bit. I think that if you gave him the chance, especially after season 1, when he was DMing the girls and doing a lot, I don't think he was that committed to Tasia. Um, I think Tasia's a beautiful woman. I think she's a good catch, but I don't think he was that committed to her. Then Andy asked about if him and if Nick and Tasia are together, and they're not. I'm not surprised. I mean, Tasia can only take so many people coming to her as a woman. Like, Natalie didn't even have to say it. The fact that the implication was there, like, girl, no, you can't do that. And he swears that wasn't the only reason. Like, it was a couple other things, but he said that was not the straw that broke the camel's back, even though who knows what is. Tasia, come to the front, Tasia. Let us know what really happened, because I feel like we're never going to get Tasia's story. But I hope, and I know we'll never get it, because Tasia was even doing the most on the show. So why would she come after the fact and get on Instagram and start talking? Because that's clearly not who she is. She clearly doesn't care for the cameras or whatever. But Tasia, girl, if you see this, let us know. Was people coming to you as a woman the straw that broke the camel's back? I want to know. And other inquiring minds would like to know too. Um, but yeah, Andy asked too, like, do you think it's because you embarrassed her on TV? And Nick does think that he embarrassed her on TV. He just doesn't think that's the reason it all ended. Um, Then Andy asked Amir if he knew that Natalie was coming on to be the bone collector of the season. Whack him again, Andy. Like, come on. Um, and it's funny because Noelle and Bria say that Natalie was the problem. And I believe that. They said they didn't really show it on camera, but she was the one that kept on insisting that they talk about Nick, even just talk about Nick and the things he's doing. Talking about, oh, if I was Tasia, I would have let him do this. And I saw him doing that. And I saw him doing this, whatever. And I would never let Amir, and whoop de whoop de whoop. So it was really Natalie, as they say, pushing that conversation. Um, and then Amir was like, "Oh, she didn't come to be a mess," and Noelle was like, "That's a lie." And she didn't even let him finish that. Like, you're lying. She cut the shit. And Amir tries to defend her again, and Noelle is not having it. And I love that, because I feel like they let Natalie get away with so much. So someone needed to hold that girl accountable. I'm sad she wasn't there to be held accountable live, but yes, she did need that accountability. Because they let her get away with too much. They talk about Nick and the tats in the Freak Nick episode, and he said his DMs was popping from that episode. And it's true, because without the glasses, with the hat, Nick looked a little different. He looked a little cute. Okay. Like he wasn't, even I was like, oh, okay. I mean, Shanice was doing the most because he's still Nick, but I was just like, hmm, he looks a little, and I don't know if it's the tats, but I feel like his energy changed when he put them fake tats on. And then he took the glasses off, which also helped. Not saying glasses aren't attractive, but for him, it was just so. It's like, when you watch those movies and they have the librarian and she's like nerdy and ugly, and then she takes her hair down and takes her glasses off, and it's like, oh, the librarian's actually hot. That's how it was with Nick. He took his glasses off, he took his shirt off, he put a little fake tat, and we was all like, ooh, zaddy. So it's the same librarian concept that we saw over there. Um, then Andy asked Summer if she felt bad about throwing Shanice's name out there for worst dress. And Summer doubled down. She said no, that she didn't. Um, Summer says she didn't even like the outfit that she wore recently on Watch What Happens Live. And then the producers are shady because they cut it in. But Shanice was like, I wasn't hurt about you saying I was worst dressed. I was very hurt about the fact that it wasn't your question. The question was to Amir, and you hopped in and you said Shanice. And Summer was like, no, I said it like Shanice, and I drug it out. And I was like, no, she was pretty sure about it. She thinks Shanice dresses bad. And that's okay. Girl, stand on it, whatever. I think what hurt Shanice is because she was poor or felt like she couldn't get her clothes. And Summer said that was never her intention. That was not how she was trying to say it. Like, oh, this poor girl, whatever. She just don't think she could dress. And it's funny because she was like, well, then you asked to borrow my sweater. If I'm the worst dressed, why would you want to borrow anything I have? And she was like, because you don't know how to pair it. Girl, that's shade. Okay. Shade. Summer, it's mean, okay? You're getting mean. You're right, but you're getting mean because pairing matters, styling matters, right? You could wear a piece that's really nice, really expensive, but if you don't style it well, it doesn't matter. So I get it. And Summer doesn't like the way she dresses. She's like, well, I borrowed a dress of yours and I look better in it than you did. And she was like, no, you didn't. What kills me though is no one agreed. Like Summer's like, I look better. I know maybe everybody was just like, oh, it's not my business, but everybody just was like making faces, but no one really commented. Um, but yeah, it's just sad because it was mean. It was a very mean girl comment of Shanice to say, mean girl comment of Summer to say Shanice is the worst dressed, especially like they said, it wasn't her question. She didn't have to answer it, but she wanted everybody to know that she thinks Shanice dresses bad. That was it. At the end of the day, Summer was being a little mean. She was being a little mean girl, honest, but a little mean girl, and that was that. Then someone asked, and Andy asked for them that, if Shanice is dating and talking to and whatever all these high value men, how come they couldn't give her money to buy a Zara shirt? I don't know who asked that question, but shady. Hilarious, but shady. And, Shanice is like, oh, I'm just sleeping with them. I'm not actually like dating them. They're not my boyfriends. That doesn't help. That doesn't help at all. That response did not help you. When somebody answers and you're just like, ooh, it was like a train wreck. Like she answered that question thinking that that was a good answer, but it was like, dang, men you're sleeping with won't even buy you a t-shirt, a nice little thing. Dang. I guess it's good you're not using them, but nothing. Nasty work. Then Andy asked Shanice if she has a job now. And what killed me is in the middle of this question, the credits are already rolling. Already rolling. And he's asking her if she has a job. And then she's like, yes, I have a job now. And he's like, and that's a wrap. I'm like, wow, what an abrupt end. to a reunion. Like, I have never seen that. Like, that was really, I feel like he used the Watch What Happens Live producers and everything and did not want to spend $1 more. So because to cut the episode off so abruptly after after what's her name asked after Andy asked Shanice if she had a job and she said yes, and then he was like, "All right, and that's a wrap." Like, wow. I feel like every issue wasn't even resolved. Like, I feel like he didn't even ask people if they were resolved. He kind of just talked about the issues and moved on. That was really crazy to me. And I feel like I'm glad they got a reunion, but dang, I wish they got a little bit better one. Um, I'm so sad because it has been announced that Summer House Martha's Vineyard is officially on a pause. Um, that's devastating to me because I think that this show offered so much and we just couldn't get people to watch. 200,000 views is a lot, but it's not what's necessary. So I'm really sad. I'm really sad. I think you guys should come into the comments and tell Andy that you want to watch, you want a new season. Maybe I know they were soliciting, someone mentioned that they were soliciting for more guys and such and new cast members. I'm hoping that's the reason for the pause. I'm hoping that they really do try to bring it back and it's truly a pause. I mean, we've seen pauses go to cancellations, but I'm really hoping that with a better cast, they're able to kind of get this together because I think the show is so important to the culture. I maybe Bravo isn't the right avenue, right? Like, I love Bravo, but maybe, because think about it, we all watched Sweet Life on Max on HBO. We watched Insecure. Like, I don't know where this show with this all black cast needs to go, but like, please, it needs to go somewhere and people need to support it and people need to watch it because I really, really liked it. I think the age range, the education level, it really was showing a really good positive side to Black millennials. I kind of loved it and I think we need it back. I just don't know if that exact same cast can come back, but I do think that we need this show back. And tell me what you guys think. I know you guys have been seeing all the interviews some of the castmates have been doing, the lives, everything. Let me know what you think, baby, because some of it has been shady and enlightening and just overall like, oh, they definitely need a season 3 because some of this mess should be televised. So again, please like, comment, subscribe, and share these videos. Thank you guys so much for joining me this series of Summer House. Um, and again, I hope it comes back. I hope this isn't the last time you guys see me talking about Summer House. Have a good night. Bye.